not only point out the supreme truth that liberates us, for the larger number of students who may not be prepared for that highest realization, the Upanishads also provide a lot of moral guidelines. This is their secondary teaching, but all the same, very important. In Kathopanishad especially, we see quite a lot of advice on walking the right path. Above all, the very story of Nachiketa lets us know how we, the spiritual aspirants, ought to be. The Vedanta texts repeatedly remind us that unless we have the foundation of viveka and vairagya, all this philosophy will in fact be in vain. We will be like the donkeys carrying on their backs bags full of gold, but all that gold doesn't mean anything to the donkeys. Therefore, with all due respect to scholarship, it is very clear in the light of the teachings of the Upanishads, it's very clear that we, the seekers, have to train ourselves in making right choices. The Kathopanishad talks about how life is a journey by a chariot, and our mind is like the reins or the bridles with which the charioteer controls the horses. If the emotional mind, the seat of desires, is like the reins which the charioteer pulls, the sense organs, which are always seeking gratification, are like the horses. The senses have to be handled with extreme care, otherwise the senses go amok. The horses of the chariot may run in any direction, not in the direction where we want to go. Therefore, the mind, which is compared with the reins, has to be properly dealt with by our buddhi. If the mind is the seat of desires, buddhi is the seat of rights, values. Buddhi is the decision maker. Despite a lot of temptations, despite a lot of confusion that may come on the way, the buddhi has to refresh its own wisdom, its own intelligence, and take the right decision. Here we are in this 35th episode of Know the Upanishad series, and on this day of April 24, evening in the West, and rather evening in India, and morning in the West, like America, we are going to consider a very powerful punchline from the Kathopanishad. The Kathopanishad calls a spade, is uncompromising in its declarations, and it says to us point blank that if we lose viveka, the discrimination between right and wrong, between the eternal and the ephemeral, the discrimination between what is true and what is false, then forget it. The chances of our getting liberated, getting freed from the entanglements of typical human life are very less. To boost the chances of walking ahead in liberation, on this path of liberation, I should say, we ought to safeguard our viveka, that feeble voice within us saying, hey, that is the right way to go. Do not go this other way, which will increase your entanglements. In life, even great experts in various fields, eminent professionals, people who have received awards and trophies and recognition and accolades and whatnot, are often seen to have various weaknesses in them. Some have anger, some have jealousy, some have desire, some have egoism, some have some kind of pride, something or the other. Therefore, we must never trust that, okay, but I am a highly respected man, I am a highly respected lady in the society, everybody praises me, etc. Maybe as an attorney or an engineer, as a doctor or a professor in your fields, you might be quite admirable, adorable. You might have earned good amount of wealth. You might, as we said already, enjoy a certain social status. But all that means nothing if you have no viveka, right discrimination to distinguish between what action, what course of action takes you upward and what takes you downward. Therefore, both in vyavahara, in a whole lot of day-to-day transactions, and in paramartha, in determining the nature of the truth, knowing which we are freed from all kinds of bondage. This ability is very important. Even in vyavahara, day-to-day transactions, as Viduraniti puts it, if we choose what is really praiseworthy, what is really wonderful and makes ourselves feel good about them, even after some time, some lapse of time, because there are many actions which make you feel good for a short while, but later on you repent. Vidura says to Dhritarashtra, Nishevate prashastani, ninditani na sevate. The intelligent lady or man opts for what is praiseworthy. Let me hasten to add, the emphasis is not on others praising the action. This mad, mad world praises us as per their desires. You make a lot of money and give part of it to all of them. These people, they say, you are Indra, you are Chandra. They will praise you like anything. But Vidura is not talking about people's praise. That is secondary. In 9 out of 10 good actions performed, you get complimented by people also. But our conscience, our own inner voice should put the stamp of approval and even compliments on what we do, what we say, and before both of them, what we even think. So, in this context of choosing what takes us to greater elevation in spirituality and rejecting whatever pulls us down on the scale of inner expansion. We'll see a mantra. In fact, even the first half of mantra is more than enough. Let me share a couple of slides in that context. Here we go. Yes, here we are. Let me expand this slide for everybody to see more clearly. Yes. So we have Know the Upanishads class 35 on this day, Friday, April 24, 2026. It's already evening in India and early morning in the West. We have chosen to give a simple title. Opposite are these options. The original Sanskrit goes dūramete. Ete is dual number. Etat, ete, etani. Or if it is reference to vidyā, which is feminine, esha, ete, etaha. So dūramete, viparīte, viṣūcī. So we have dūram means far apart. Far apart, and as though that's not enough, they are opposite to each other. Far apart and opposite to each other are these two options every now and then. All moral literature is replete with instructions on these. We have quoted in certain others webinars or lectures, online lectures, how the very well-known poem by Robert Frost has that expression, the road less traveled. So in this mantra, the words used are vidya and avidyā. Vidya is what goes with the road less traveled. Avidyā, spiritual ignorance, when darkness fills our mind, fills our head, that goes with the road that most people take. In this world, most people go for pleasure, enjoyment, status, reflected glory, fun, and they totally go blind to what is of long lasting value. Therefore, in this title slide itself, we say opposite are these options, dūram and viparīte. Viparīta is opposite, far apart and opposite. Viparīta could also mean divergent. They don't come together. One pulls you to the north and the other, if not south, pulls you towards the east or the west. Pretty much divergent, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or somewhere in between, 145 degrees. They are apart, viparīte. So we wonder what Yama is talking to the young boy Nachiketa when he gives out this mantra. Let's take a look at the whole mantra. The whole mantra has 4 lines, and We are taking just the first half. However, let's read the whole mantra. dūramete viparīte viṣūcī avidyāyā ca vidyeti jñātā vidyābhīpsinam nachiketasam manye natva kama bahavo lolupanta. As you know, Kathopanishad has 6 vallis divided into 2 chapters. First chapter, second valli, the fourth mantra is what we are taking over here. The whole mantra has 4 quarters. So we have here dūramete viparīte viṣūcī. In fact, before this, the Kathopanishad has those famous mantras. Shreyascha preyascha purusham sinitaha tau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha. The words used are Shreya and Preya. Therefore, it is true that what were called Shreya and Preya, what is good versus what is pleasing, what is of long-lasting value, and what is of temporary value. The Shreya and Preya, yes, they are synonymous with Vidya and Avidyā, respectively. The English translation goes, the first half is our focus. Far apart are these. They are opposite. They are divergent. Be clear about it. Don't be confused. The one that is known as ignorance, avidyā, and the other, the knowledge. If you truly have scriptural knowledge, it should show in the choices you make in daily life. The second half of the mantra has Yama, Lord Yama, the god of death. Therefore, Eknath Ishwaran calls his commentary on Kathopanishad a dialogue with death. The student is Nachiketa, a very pure-minded soul, and the teacher is the officer in the domain of gods who is entrusted with ensuring everyone dies at the right time, as per their karma, as per their prarabdha. So Lord Yama, in the second half of the mantra, says, O Nachiketa, I am very sure, I am seeing, I am able to see very clearly, you are a vidyabhīpsi. Nachiketaha vidyabhīpsi asti. Nachiketasam vidyabhīpsinam aham manye. I regard. Manye means I think. I regard you, Nachiketa, to be one who has a great, strong desire, abhipsa. Abhipsa asya asti iti abhipsi. Vidyayai abhipsa asya asti. Nachiketa is passionately looking for what is spiritual wisdom. He rejects a whole lot of pleasures, possessions, entertainments, lots of worldly enjoyments. He rejects them all. And Yama acknowledges it. Natva kamaha bahavaha alolupanta. A whole lot of enjoyable objects did not tempt you, did not make you yield to the temptations. So we now see none less than Adi Shankaracharya. And he refers to the just immediate previous mantras where the words used were Shreyaha and prayer. He gently reminds us. Some of us might read the first two or three mantras one day, and next week we might go for the fourth mantra, which is under consideration here. So, in the mantras 1, 2, and 3, there was reference to Shreya. Out of Shreya and Preya, Tayoho, out of those two, Shreyaha Adadanaya. Whoever opts for, whoever chooses, whoever takes Shreya, what is good, what is the right thing to do, what is right for both others and oneself. When you work for an institution, what is good for the institution? When you have to decide in a family, what is good for the whole family? To take what is good for oneself and not good for others is immoral in one way. And to take what is good for everybody else, but you go down the drain, is not at all practical or intelligent. Therefore, in management, they use the expression go for win-win solutions. That is, it makes others happy and makes you too happy. Tayoho shreya adadanasya sadhu bhavati. As days pass, weeks pass, months pass, and years pass, the person who opts for shreya and rejects prayer, and in the light of this present mantra, who opts for vidya and rejects avidya, or if vidya and avidya mean the intelligence or the lack of it, which are characteristics of a certain, some people. So vidya here means, vidya signifies one who does right actions leading one upward, shows that one has right understanding. So vidya could on a plane signify the action itself. It can imply, but more precisely, if you have wisdom, you would opt for Shreya. If you don't have true intelligence, you will opt for prayer. Therefore, Vidya could be the cause of opting for Shreya. Avidya could be the basis for selecting or choosing prayer. Sadhu bhavati, and so the person who acts out of Vidya, how do we know? Where is the test? The test is just watch him out. It is like the well-known marshmallow test. Certain boys, 8 or 10 years old, boys and girls in the Stanford University were put to this test. All of them were given delicious marshmallows, and they were given in a maybe hall in a classroom by professors of Stanford long back. I guess this was an experiment conducted somewhere in the 70s or before that, 1970s or before that. And all the boys and girls were very happy to have some marshmallow to put into their mouth. And the professors lovingly said, yes, this is for you to eat, but here is a test. Here is a challenge for you. We are going to give you some time. In fact, your professors, your uncles, aunts, we are going to go for a short walk. And during those 20 minutes, you have two choices. You can eat up whatever is served to you without any delay. You can eat it. Or you can, we request you, we suggest, don't eat it. You keep it with you. You keep it in front of you. When we come back after 20 minutes, those of you who have not eaten the marshmallow which was placed before them, will get a second marshmallow. And those of you who have eaten, fine, nothing wrong. You have the liberty to eat it, but you will not get the second one. So think about it. And the professors, the aunts and uncles in the campus of Stanford go for a walk. When they come back come back to the classroom after 20 minutes, they find two-thirds of the people, two-thirds of those boys and girls could not resist the temptation. They just ate the marshmallow. They noted down who actually could not hold back and who could hold back. And then after recording, I suppose all were given a second marshmallow. The professors were generous. Their intention was to see the mental condition, not literally to deny the second marshmallow to any single child. All of them were given the second one and they were allowed to go home. The professors kept record of these boys and girls after 5 years, after 10 years, because those children also pretty much were children of professors, other professors. Therefore, the children of colleagues in a certain department or several departments for that matter. So it was easy to track their progress. So as they went to middle school, high school, college, as they went to take jobs, as they married, so every 5 years, these professors kept record, just found out how are you doing, what's going on. And they found that those two-thirds of the boys and girls who could not resist the temptation and ate up the first marshmallow, and though they got the second one, well, these were the people who later had difficulties. Difficulties at work, difficulties in marriage, difficulties in many of their relationships, difficulties in their very private life. Just they are sitting by themselves in their bedroom or in their house, no one else, but they are not happy people. They have so much of conflict and confusion and depression or anger and so on. Why all that? Because, as Dit Mantra says, the vidya and avidyā. The one-third of the boys and girls, meanwhile, who had not eaten the first marshmallow till the professors came back to offer a second one to them, this one-third did well in every sphere of their life. Therefore, Scott Peck, who wrote that book, The Road Less Traveled, himself a psychologist, says if you study the success stories of the world over, around the world, so to say, you'll find those who can delay gratification. They don't have to deny, but for the present, if needed, they delay. I will eat this a little later. That kind of ability to delay sense gratification. Therefore, those who do that succeed. Shankaracharya says, Shreya adadanasya sadhu bhavati. Long before all these marshmallow tests, etc., were conducted, the wisdom of the Upanishads had said it in the loudest voice. Those who yield to provocations or temptations, hiyate arthad, slips and falls from the true goal, the true objective of life. Yau preyo vranite iti hi uktam. Acharya refers to what was said earlier. That alone, that itself is implied here in other words. Because opting for immediate gratification and being able to stay and hold back and say, this is not the time. Sometimes there may not be any such pressure. Nobody prevents you from eating a marshmallow right away. Right away you may eat it if no one has asked you to hold back, or no situation is requiring certain restraint at that time. So do not mix it up. It's obvious, it's common sense that this kind of viveka is required on many occasions in life. But on many other occasions, there is no such compulsion, there is no such demand. Do you are free. In fact, there are times when you have to immediately enjoy what comes your way and move on. You should not wait. I'll wait for 20 minutes. That's meaningless. So, yataha duram durena mahata antarena ete viparīte anyonya vyavritta rupe. This Shreya and Preya, or the Vidya and Avidya, are viparīte, they are divergent, and anyonya vyavritta rupe. If you have opted for Shreya, you have let go of Preya. If you have opted for Preya, you have let go of Shreya. So taking one means you have let go of the other. Taking the second means you have let go of the first. That is anyonya vyavritti. This rejects the other and that rejects this. Viveka aviveka atmakatvat. One is marked by viveka, second is marked by aviveka. As we said, discrimination and indiscriminate behavior. So you have a whole text, Viveka Chudamani. For unless you and I develop the ability to distinguish and then opt for in action, in word, we opt for what is truly good. Unless we do that, we remain in samsara. Tama prakashau, as the title of this slide also says, this vidya and avidya are like darkness and light. Light is not darkness, darkness is not light. Don't say here, what about some dim light, which is in some sense light, in some sense darkness. That is called stretching the example. The example is not to be stretched, twisted, and distorted. These are idiomatic expressions. Don't bring too much of science or physics here. Light and darkness is an idiomatic expression. Light means lot of light, and darkness here means total darkness. Lot of light, where when you are able to see everything, everybody, yourself properly, on one hand, and darkness, you are not able to see a thing in the room or in the hall or wherever you are. So tama prakashav iva viṣūcī, suchayati means to indicate, to point. These point in two different directions. So Shankaracharya takes ete in the feminine sense because vidya and avidya are mentioned. That is obvious, where he corrects this viṣūcī into viṣūcyav. That is when feminine is taken. Nadi, nadyau, nadyaha. You have the feminine word ending in dirgha e, long e. Nadi, one river, nadyau, two. Therefore, vidya and avidya being feminine, dūramete, viparīte, viṣūcī. So, ete, viparīte, and viṣūcī all are to be taken as dual number of feminine pronoun or noun or adjective. Viṣūcī, therefore, Acharya gently gives the correct word. This is otherwise, viṣūcī would be arsha prayoga. Dūramete. So it's not neuter, because ete shabda can be the dual of etat, that is neuter. Ete is also dual of esha, which is feminine. So take it as esha ete etaha, etam ete etaha, etaya etabhyam, etabihi, and so on. This vibhakti. So this is correctness of language. Viṣūcī means viṣūcyav. Nana gati, that's also dual. Gati, gatihi is singular. Gati, gatihi gati, gatayaha, gatim gati, gatihi. So nana gati, the gati the destination where you end up if you again and again opt for what gives you instant gratification, and the gati, the destination where you land, if you were to exercise discrimination, and at times where it is not healthy to go for some enjoyment or provocation to go for some destruction, go for some punitive action against somebody. You yell, you scream, you are hard on somebody, your own daughter or son, your own neighbor, your own colleague in the office, let us say. You get mad at them, then, then the destination is different. Relationships are spoiled. Bhinna phale, the results, phala is result, are different. One leads to samsara, that is avidyā, and the second, vidya, leads to moksha. Sansara moksha hetutvena ityetat. Shankaracharya makes these simple matters also even clearer by taking every word. In our last slide, we talk about the second part. Shankaracharya gives it, we may as well see. What are you talking about? Vidya and avidya, what are they? Yacha avidya preyo vishaya. Avidya, lack of spiritual maturity, lack of emotional maturity, being confused with regard to things that come before you in life, shows itself as having an irresistible urge to, in the context of enjoyment, go for pleasure, in the context of provocation, be harsh, yell, scream, or take a stick and beat somebody, break things, and so on. Now, even during election times, there was a bit of a news item I chanced upon to see on the television. Just instead of voting, instead of ensuring that elections are held properly, there are all these antisocial elements. So in Bengal, it was shown some were going and destroying the property of the opposite party, political party. But it also showed this time so much of central government's police were placed everywhere. Even if they're breaking things, a jeep comes and the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, they come out with gun in hand. These fellows had only rods with which they broke some things of the opposition property, private property of the candidate contesting who is in the opposite party. They come and show the guns, and right away these people drop their sticks. They are arrested and taken away. So, unfortunately, in different parts of the world, in India, in different parts of the country, during elections, some people lose lives also. So, what makes a man kill? What makes a man take somebody's life? That is also opting for prayer, not going for shreya. That kind of violent action, which is utterly deplorable, which is not right at all, is when avidya is driving us. Shankaracharya writes here, Yacha avidya preyo vishaya, vidya iti cha shreyo vishaya. They are distinct. Don't say that this is half prayer and half shreya. Very rarely such a situation may arise. And there also one should be able to take only the shreya and drop the prayer part. Sometimes, there are you go for some entertainment and there's something to learn, something educative. Therefore, you should look for what is 90% educative and 10% entertaining, rather than 90% entertaining, dance and music, and 10% learning. Then there is the risk of you being influenced by negative values. or you become weaker in your inner strength. So, jñātā. So, vidya iti jñātā, avidyā iti jñātā. Otherwise, this also should go to dual. Vidya cha avidya cha iti jñāte. Rama rame ramaha. Shala shale shalaha. Jñātā jñāte. Nirjnate. Avagate. Panditai. Wise people thus clearly see who is rising and who is falling. Tatra vidyabhipsinam vidyarthinam nachiketasam tvamaham manye. I look at you, oh dear Nachiketa. You are very clearly always choosing what is right. Yasmad avidvad buddhi pralobitaha avidvad buddhi pralobhinaha kamaha. So there are all kinds of enjoyments. Apsara pravritaya Yama with his divine powers had offered to Nachiketa. Go for take some apsaras, live in a palace, attended by countless servants. Avidvad. Vidvad is wise. Avidvad means unwise. So there were enjoyments placed before him which were trying to provoke, trying to arouse in him unintelligent choices. Bahavapi, tva, tvam, na alolupanta. They did not succeed in tempting you. Na vichedam kritavanta. So you are asking for self-knowledge, and if you were to fall for temptations, that desire for spiritual wisdom would have taken a back seat. That would have been vicheda, breaking, cutting a certain process. No, on the contrary, you opted for self-knowledge only. Varam etam vrine. I ask for this only. Don't distract me by anything. He says to Yama, Shreyo margad atma upabhoga abhivancha sampadanena. So it did not distract you from your asking Atma Jnana. Atma Upabhoga Abhivancha Sampadanena. So Atma Upabhoga, you wanted to enjoy the bliss of the inner self. Therefore, Vidyarthinam Shreyo Bhajanam Manye. I clearly see you. Bhajana means deserving. You deserve. Or Bhajana means a patra. You have so much of wisdom of the Shreyas, and therefore you deserve enlightenment. So that young boy, 14-year-old, gets enlightened. That is the upshot of the story of all these teachings in Kathopanishad. Boys and girls, not only in the marshmallow context, otherwise also in childhood, if parents pamper them or if parents scold them too much, their psyche gets distorted. Either allowed to enjoy whenever they want to enjoy, or always criticizing them, harassing them, either way. Therefore, every learned man, learned lady agrees that education is the most challenging topic in life. Education. And not just education in some professional subjects, science or economics, but educating young children in how to live. And that's not easy. By simply screaming at them, you must tell truth, never tell a lie. You scream, it may be counterproductive. You have to awaken in them. You have to help the little girls and boys see for themselves the negative effects of telling lies and the positive benefits of telling truth. So those are in the same way for many other values. In all values, to the extent children are made to think about them and see clearly, this will not do good to me. I am convinced, therefore I will not do this. This will make my life more happy. Therefore, I'll go for it. So, Nachiketa, thanks to Purva Samskara, thanks to his numerous previous impressions from past lives, as we Hindus believe, Nachiketa opted for, in his third boon, Atmajnana and nothing else, nothing short. Therefore, he receives rich compliments from Lord Yama in these lines. I regard you vidya bhipsinam nachiketa sammanye. Tvam nachiketaha vidya bhipsi asi. You are that. You are a good, very intelligent boy. And I will be happy to reveal to you what that pure self is. This is the upshot. In this class, we shall avoid questions and answers. Please ask any questions on this in the next class we have next Friday. Namah Paramarashibhyo, Namah Paramarashibhyaha, Hari Om, Hari Om.